Entrepreneurship is about solving problems for a profit while maintaining integrity. You need to know, where are you now and where do you want to be? And then what are those steps in between? Sometimes you don't know them, but you need to be able to be honest about where your current state is. You need to be honest about your goals. You need to do something every day that scares you. If you don't know what that is, you need to start thinking bigger. If the most expensive information in the world is bad information, even if it's free. Entrepreneurs so often choose productivity over joy and health and natural balance. You need to be able to balance that ambition, because winning is about who you become, not just what you accomplish. Hello and welcome to the Superhuman Entrepreneur podcast. This is part 2 of my Joe Polish interview. The title of this interview is Building a Foundation for Becoming a Superhuman Entrepreneur. So hopefully you just listened to my interview with Joe Polish. Super amazing. He is one of my favorite entrepreneurs, even before I met him and have become friends with him. And he just knows so much about helping entrepreneurs build business and a life that's easy, lucrative, and fun. His interview was a little bit longer than we normally go because it was so packed with information. I just couldn't let him stop talking. I just wanted to hear more and learn more. So hopefully you learned a lot from that. And in this part 2, we're going to cover some of the important things that you can start implementing to take that wealth of knowledge that Joe shared with us and apply it into your life and help you to become a superhuman entrepreneur. So that first major key point that I loved our discussion on was that original definition of an entrepreneur. And so by Jean-Baptiste Say, and that definition involves creating value by shifting resources from a lower level to a higher level and increasing the value of those activities. And I love that. And I know that's what we're trying to do here at Superhuman Entrepreneur, is help you to level up and move from a lower level to a higher level, whether that's in your health, your business, in your marriage, or whatever part of life that we want to level up. That's what we're going to do. So entrepreneurship, my other favorite definition that he used a lot and I've heard him talk about is talking about entrepreneurship is about solving problems for a profit while maintaining integrity. I loved that discussion on that. We talked a lot about coming from a place of integrity. So many times entrepreneurs, they kind of get a bad rap, or business owners get a bad rap just trying to make money. And some people do that in ways that are not very ethical. We'll talk more about that because that's definitely one of his key points that I want to make sure that we hit in this process and how we can learn from them. So because ultimately, and why we do what we do here at the Superhuman Entrepreneur podcast, is because you can only help someone level up to the limit of your abilities. And so we want to help you to continue to do that, because as you dive in, and the very first thing that he talked about, my very first takeaway and action item step for you, is about personal growth and reflection. It's so important because as you level up and as you grow, then you're able to impact more people and help other people in multiple ways. So it starts by assessing where you're at. We talked about this on the podcast. He talked about a lot about this journey of where you go as an entrepreneur. You need to know, where are you now and where do you want to be? And then what are those steps in between? Sometimes you don't know them, but you need to be able to be honest about where your current state is. And you need to be honest about your goals, because if you're not, then you're not going to know how to measure progress. That's really key. And sometimes it takes extra wisdom and continuous learning, and to always be able to move forward and to find out what you need to do to align your goals and to be able to make progress. So many times in my entrepreneur journey, and I know the journey of others, you make that next step and you don't know what step comes after that until you make that first step. And then you can see what step 2 looks like, and then you can see what step 3 looks like, and so on and so on. And so, and just in that area there too, we talked about with Joe that you need to be able to distinguish between, am I just learning to learn, or am I learning to actually make progress and have activity happen? So that was really key. On that last topic, and he talked about this too, because it's so important as we're trying to grow and level up, because there's so much information out there, so much noise out there. Even there's this new podcast, the Superhuman Entrepreneur podcast. But finding someone who you trust, and then you can go deep with them and their sources and their knowledge is so key, because when you do that, that's how you really level up. Instead of just taking a little tidbit here, a little tidbit there, and just going shallow, we need to go deep with someone who you can really trust and who you feel like can help you make the most progress. So that's super key, and that was a big area takeaway. That the next action item that I took away from him is really comes down to finding your passion, what you're good at, but then also a skill development. Because as an entrepreneur, there's so many different skills and so many areas that you need to be good at. That passion alone is not going to get you there. Yeah, it definitely can help you get in the door and motivate you to take those first steps, but you must be able to develop the skills that create values for others. and you have to be able to learn and grow. And we talked about this a little bit with Joe and sharing, because Joe has talked about how he's an introvert, I myself an introvert. And so to develop the skills of talking to people and networking and growing, you're growing in that way to be able to get the voice out there is so key and so important. And he shared a little bit about his journey on that. And now he's running one of the amazing business for entrepreneurs called the Genius Network. And, it's all about not being an introvert. And so it's definitely important there to be able to learn skills like that. And there's so many different skills. There's skills that are specific to your craft. Just like me as a doctor, I have skills to be able to read blood work and to learn to optimize labs and develop supplement plans and eating plans and all this for people. In every industry, there's different skills that are specific to the industry. But then also you need to have the people skills, the sales skills, the marketing skills, all those come in. So there's definitely no limit to the level of skills that you can have in there. And there's no maximum you can achieve either. So, and ultimately, like he talked about in developing skills, courage is essential for growth. You need to be able to step out of your comfort zone. You need to be able to get up and go and move and do and apply those things you're learning. You need to change your environment. And he had a great quote in there that I love. You need to do something every day that scares you. If you don't know what that is, you need to start thinking bigger. If you want to grow and become a superhuman entrepreneur and create amazing business, amazing marriage, all those things, it might be looking at and getting a bigger vision and better plan for that so that you can be able to take those next steps. Hey, Dr. J here. If you like what you're hearing on this podcast and like the information that we're providing, be sure to subscribe and leave a review and like the podcast, because it helps us to be able to expand our reach to find other entrepreneurs. Your support helps us to reach other entrepreneurs and help us to help them truly unlock their superhuman potential and make the world a better place. We talked a little bit about the balance between health and longevity and that, because really, if you are not feeling good, if your health is not where it needs to be, then your health is your biggest concern. But if your health is in check, if you have good energy, if you're feeling amazing, then you're able to go and do and make that impact that you want in the world. And he had a quote in here that I love that was so important, that applies especially to this area. I feel like is that the most expensive information in the world is bad information, even if it's free. So social media is full of thousands of people out there, maybe even millions, sharing information about health for free. And over time, and on the solo side, when we're talking more about specific health concerns, we're going to help you to break through that and figure out how to discern between good and bad information and how that applies to you and different things. But yeah, if it's bad information, if it's not directing you down the right path, then even if it's free or super expensive, it's not worth it and it's wasting your time. So finding someone who you're confident in can be a trustful source of good information. I mean, most of you haven't gone to medical school and learned how to discern between good studies and bad studies and what's really good for your health or not. And so you don't need to spend the $500,000 and 8 years of college to be able to figure that out. There's someone's already done that, multiple people. But anyway, so make sure that you can find someone that's giving you good information with that. Because when you get your physical health dialed in, your mental health dialed in, it creates a world for you that leads to success. And really it's just some basic things are where to get started. You need to put energy into that. It doesn't need to be a lot, but you need to eat clean. You need to avoid the processed foods. You need to fuel your body with nutritious, high quality food. Just yesterday, last night, high level entrepreneur that a lot of you might even know if you follow entrepreneur social media stuff. It was in the evening. He sent me this little video clip, and he's like, and we're just barely starting the process of working together. And he's just like dragging. He's like, it's only 7:00. I can't get off of the couch, and complaining about all these things. And I was like, well, what did you eat today? He's like, and started making excuses. And he knew it was so bad. He didn't even tell me what he was eating because he knew it was so bad. Because you need to fuel your body. Talked about that with Joe, and that's one thing I love about Joe in Genius Network. There's a lot of doctors, a lot of health experts, and he has learned from them and learned to apply what works for him. And he's always continuing to try to learn and figure out how to do better and better with that. So that's really key, because if you do that and you can build the mental, physical energy to thrive, that leads to a very important thing, which is avoiding burnout. Entrepreneurs so often choose productivity over joy and health and actual balance. So you need to be able to balance that ambition with actually what's going to be good for you long term to be able to sustain your success. So that's really important and key. And then the last key point that he talked about was building relationships and a Genius Network. to build a genius network, you need to be a genius networker and be good at genius networking. So for each person to build their own genius network is a group of people that elevate each other's capabilities. As I've been working with Joe and getting to know him better, it's so fun because he knows everyone, literally. And if something comes up, he's like, I know someone who can help us with that. I know someone who can help us with that, and all the different things. So whether it's, someone to help you with your Facebook ads, or someone to help you with traveling around the world, or whatever different thing comes up, down to very specific things, he knows someone. And if he doesn't, he knows how to find the person who knows the person to be able to get in contact with them. So he's so amazing. And I love his book because that's a big part of his most recent book. Big part of being a genius networker and building your genius network is you want to go in with the mindset of what's in it for them. How can I help this person, that you want to work with? Because when you can prioritize building value for that person instead of your own self-interest, that can lead to huge benefits and amazing relationships. And this is something that has been a skill for me to learn over time. I did not come by this naturally. But as I've been able to build more relationships with entrepreneurs and different people and kind of create my own genius network, it's had nothing but exponential results and benefits coming into my life, in business, in my personal life, in my marriage, all those different things. So that's really key. And definitely there's times in people where, someone negative comes into place, and you need to be able to move away from them and keep them out of your inner circle of your genius network. So relationships that are dishonest or lazy or are providing negative results or with negative people, you need to associate them on an appropriate level. And as you do that, because ultimately, being a giver, the what's in it for them mentality is you being a giver. And so there's a lot of takers out there. And so if you feel like they're taking more, then it might be time to reevaluate that relationship. So, because ultimately, for sure, whatever is coming across the board in all parts of business, you want to be able to create more value than you end up consuming. So, because that the value of that community is huge, because it can really be a source of strength for success and longevity in business. With my entrepreneur journey story, when I was at my lowest, I did not have a network. I did not have a community and someone to kind of help me through where I was at when I was at my rock bottom of burnout. And so I know how important that is now. And I know I have people that will help me. And when I was at that point, I did find people that were able to help me. And from then we built lasting friendships and relationships to be able to help grow with that. So it's been a huge blessing. Definitely take those things into account as you're progressing through the challenges that come with entrepreneurship and with life and with marriage and with kids, so that you can ultimately end up being yourself. So you want to be able to address those challenges directly, and to be able to get the solution and to be able to make progress. So, because if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Because ultimately this journey involves balancing ambition with self-care if you want to be able to avoid burnout. Because winning is about who you become, not just what you accomplish. All right, so take these action items to heart, figure out what works for you, listen to it again multiple times if you need to. Go back and listen to my podcast that I did with Joe, because he was sharing all that knowledge in there, and start taking action. Whether it's, building out your own genius network, finding people that you can give to support and build value for, or it's you prioritizing your health, prioritizing your balance, and figuring out what works best for you. Until next time, this is the Superhuman Entrepreneur Podcast. If you're enjoying the podcast, help us reach more entrepreneurs like you by leaving a review. As a thank you, everyone who leaves a 5-star review will be entered into a drawing for some exciting prizes. We are here to help you more than just listen. Head over to superhumanentrepreneur.com, click on community, and join a powerful network of entrepreneurs that are striving to be their best. Each episode includes action steps, resources, and accountability to help you to implement these ideas and start seeing results.